Hi, Nancy here, and I want to show you how to add yarn when you're knitting. You either are going to have to add new yarn because you simply ran out, or also the other reason may be because you have a knot or a flaw in the working yarn and you need to cut the bad spot out and restart it. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. This is one of many ways. It works really well for me. The one thing I want to stress is that always try to avoid adding new yarn on the first stitch or the last stitch of whatever you're working on. If you need to put a seam in, or if you just, the overall appearance, if it were just a scarf, it's not very attractive. The other thing you don't want to do is add it in the middle of a row. It looks just awful. Even if you hide the ends in, if it's a lighter weight yarn, you can see the bulk where you've had to, sew in the end. So just avoid doing that. You always want to keep stuff as close to the end as possible without actually being on the end. I did do a couple of add-ons here of some new yarn just to prove a point. Even with this bulky yarn, you can't really see where I've added in this yarn. If you turn it over, you'll see it's pink. And I've added in my new yarn just to show you that it really does disappear in your knitting. So here's how we're going to do this. I've already cut the piece off. We're just pretending I'm out of yarn, so I'm going to knit one stitch. I always like to add my new yarn so that the tail ends are on the wrong side of my work. I'm going to put my needle in just as I do to knit, and I'm going to bring that little piece of what's left of the yarn over my working needle, the same way you do as when you knit. I'm going to grab my new ball of yarn right here, and I'm going to grab that tail. That's here somewhere. Okay, and I'm going to have the tail closest to me, and I'm just going to hang it over the needle just like that. So now you can see I've got both the working yarn and the new yarn together on that needle. I'm going to bring it through. So there's now two. It looks like there's two stitches on that needle, but in fact it is one stitch. There's two loops there. We're going to take care of that when we purl back. I'm going to abandon the end from the original yarn. I'm going to take the new yarn from the ball, and I'm going to continue on and finish my row. And you'll see how you can treat this on your next. That's your only real risk of doing this, is that you accidentally treat it as two separate stitches, and then you end up with a problem. You have to take out a row or two and correct it. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so now we're going to go down to, we're on the purl side now, so we're just going to purl back, and then you're going to see how to handle that stitch. There are ways to knit your ends in as you go. I will be doing that on future videos. Okay, we're just about to our stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go into both, with that stitch where there's both strings of yarn, and I'm going to purl it like I always do. Purl the last stitch, and I'm just going to ever so gently pull down those pieces of working yarn. So when you flip it over, you can see it's gone away. You can't even see it. I'm fiddling with it here. Okay. I'm going to try to pull it back so you can see. That's how you add your yarn. Now if you were going to do it on the purl side, it would be the same thing. The only difference is you would add it in a little different direction here. You would take your, and I'm going to snip this free so that you can see what I'm talking about here. So this, pretend this would be the end of your yarn. You would go into your next stitch, wrap your working yarn around your needle, what's left of it, and then you would just, again, tail closest to you, over the needle, and then you would purl the two together, and then it would be treated exactly the same way when you knit across it. That's how you add new yarn.